Florida Governor Ron DeSantis says 400 illegals were held there, but that number has dropped to around 180 as they continue to be deported.
They have increased the pace of the removals from there, which is on their time schedule, and then who they send in or don't send in is on their decision. That's we're there to provide, be a force multiplier on all that, and we will continue to do it. I think it's an important mission.
The FBI has arrested and accused 2 Florida-based church leaders of forcing unpaid workers to run a call center and gather $50 million in donations for humanitarian causes that instead went towards lavish personal purchases. Fox 35 Orlando's Chancellor Wynn reports from Ocala, Florida.
Investigators say workers were recruited by the leader of the Kingdom of God Global Church, David Taylor, who allegedly claims to be Jesus' best friend and to have had multiple face-to-face encounters with God. Taylor also allegedly recruited people to work as his personal servants, making them bring women to him and to make sure those women took Plan B emergency contraceptives. If the servants refused, then they would be punished just like the call center workers. Investigators say the church's executive director, Michelle Brannon, was in charge of enforcing the punishments. That Taylor would command punishments via text messages, one of which read, quote, "I want those in Ocala who's supposed to be doing their work but are not punished and out in the garage and their food taken away." In Ocala, Chancellor Wynn, Fox News.
A California family is suing OpenAI. Chris Woodward tells us why.
The lawsuit comes after 16-year-old Adam Rain of California took his own life. Adam's family says he consulted with OpenAI's ChatGPT before ending his life. Attorney Jay Edelson is representing the family, and speaking on News Nation, Edelson stressed that this is not a lawsuit against AI, rather a lawsuit to put OpenAI on trial.
This was not a situation where ChatGPT was giving the normal warning signs and saying, oh, you've got suicidal ideation, you might need to get help. It did that a few times, but it was actively encouraging him. One of the most chilling examples, Adam reached out to ChatGPT and said, I want to leave a noose hanging in my room so someone finds it so they can stop me from doing this. Do you know what ChatGPT said in response? He said, just talk to me. I'm your friend. Don't talk to anyone else. Don't put that out there. I'm your friend. It did this over the course of a couple months. It did it so much that the last day it gave a pep talk to this 16-year-old kid.
Edelson went on to say that he intends to show a jury that OpenAI's Sam Altman gave ChatGPT the green light amid warnings that it was not ready.
He had all of these safety executives quit and say, what are you doing? We've done a week of testing instead of months that we should have done. You can't do this. Sam said, I'm going to do it. What happened? 2 things. One is ChatGPT, OpenAI, skyrocketed in value from $86 billion to $300 billion. And the other thing is Adam died.
I'm Chris Woodward.
After decades on Alabama's death row, an inmate is getting a new trial.
A federal judge orders a new trial for Alabama death row inmate Christopher Barber after new tests showed another man's DNA on the murder victim's body. Barber, now 56 years old, has been on death row for 31 years for the 1992 stabbing death of Thelma Roberts in Montgomery. Carmen Roberts, Fox News.
For American Family News, I'm Rusty Pugh.
If we lose this cultural war, we're going to have a hedonistic, humanistic society.
Discover the story of the culture warrior Don Wildman and how he went head-to-head with Hollywood, Playboy, the homosexual agenda, and the Disney Empire. The movement Don started paved the way for Christians to boldly stand for truth and righteousness in a hostile culture. Watch Culture Warrior today for free. Visit culturewarrior.movie.
Welcome to Today's Issues, offering a Christian response to the issues of the day. Here's your host, Tim Wildman, President of the American Family Association.
Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Today's Issues on the American Family Radio Network. Thanks for listening to AFR. I'm Tim Wildman. As the announcer just told you, today's Thursday, August the 28th, 2025. In studio with me is Ed Battagliano. Good morning, Brother Ed.
Good morning, Tim.
Brother Fred Jackson.
Good morning.
And keeping with the brotherhood here, Ray Pritchard's in Kansas City. Good morning, Brother Ray.
Good morning, Brother Tim. How are you today?
I'm doing great, doing well. Why do Christians call each other brother and sister?
Well,
Ray?
because we are.
How long does that go back?
Oh, it goes back 2,000 years, all the way to the Bible, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Christians, we are in the family of God. If you have believed in Jesus, if you know him, everybody who knows Jesus is my brother and sister. Might be different denominations, certainly different languages, different cultures. But, Tim, we're part of a brotherhood and sisterhood, if you will, that stretches around the world.
That must seem strange to non-Christians or people who are not familiar with that term, that to hear people call each other that.
Well, and I think especially to the point Ray's making, one of the points he's making is that we have that link to people from completely different backgrounds, different cultures, different languages, different countries, and we're linked by that very unique faith.
Yeah,
in Jesus
and it's interesting, and it proves the Bible so that our connection with each other through our faith in Christ supersedes everything else. So we are actually more of a brother with our brother in Christ than we are with our physical brother, our blood brother, oftentimes.
Right.
So that's the way that works. But as Ed and Fred said, and Ray said, this goes all the way back to the 2,000 years.
Yeah.
2,000 years of Christians being considered brothers and sisters to each other. I just remember when I was young, it seemed like a lot younger, like childhood. It just seemed like we had more people calling each other back in the, sister so-and-so, brother so-and-so.
I'm doing it actually a lot the older I get because I forget people's names.
Hi, brother. Hi, sister.
Hey,
it works.
Yes, it does.
Hello, saint.
At church, we have a pretty good sized church, so I'll just hey, brother.
I know. Yeah, you have to go with is that a pronoun? It is is that a
brother? No, I don't think it's a pronoun. It's a noun.
It's just a noun, straight up noun.
Yeah.
It doesn't even identify as a pronoun,
no,
does it?
No, it doesn't.
So.
It's just a regular noun.
Regular noun.
All right, Dr. Alex McFarland will be with us at the bottom of the hour, and we're having a little fun here to start the program, but it's a very sad day in Minneapolis and people in mourning there, Fred, because of what happened.
Yes, last evening there at this Catholic school in Minneapolis, there was a vigil to remember the 2 kids who were shot and killed by this guy. 17 others, 14 of the students at this Catholic school were wounded. We can report this morning that doctors at various hospitals in Minneapolis have done a remarkable job on those who were wounded. We are told that all of them will survive. But just a horrible experience. Just to review some of those who may have not heard the details. About this time, maybe a little earlier yesterday, they were just a few days into a new school year at this Catholic school in southern part of Minneapolis. And they were in a chapel service. They were holding a mass at this Catholic school. The kids were just coming in there. They were sitting in pews when a guy who we now know as 23-year-old Robin Westman, who identified as a female, we'll talk more about that in a moment, he stood outside and began to fire a multitude of weapons, we're told, into that chapel.
Through windows?
Through windows.
Just indiscriminate?
Indiscriminate shooting. Okay. And 2 young kids passed away almost instantly. And as I say, 17 others, including 14 other kids, were wounded in all of this. Hundreds attended that vigil there last night. It is a scene almost that's reminiscent of the school shooting that we had in Nashville back a few years ago. And we're going to talk a little bit because in both cases, the shooter was a transgender. The authorities have taken down a video that this 23-year-old Robin Westman in the Minneapolis case, he made a video posted it on X and created what's being called a manifesto as to where his thinking was in all of this.
I thought it was YouTube, or was it both?
I think I saw a copy of it on X.
Okay.
All right.
I just remember yesterday, excuse me for interrupting, but they said YouTube took it down.
Yes.
That's what made me think that.
Yeah. And again, some similarities to Nashville. Some manifestos disappeared all of a sudden. And because apparently some authorities don't want people to know that in both cases it was a transgender individual. But this person in Minneapolis, 23-year-old Robin Westman, in this video, you can see the cache of weapons that he had. And on some of the weapons, some of the magazines, and he was spewing hatred against a whole group of people. Donald Trump was mentioned. And on one of the magazines of this high-powered rifle, he just wrote, "ha, ha, ha," on it. Anyway, so that's
Did
what
he
we know.
also write, "This one's for the kids"?
That he did say, "This is for the kids," ha ha ha, on one of the magazines.
Yes. So that's where we are. Because of this manifesto, we know that, and various excerpts of that, if you go to our coverage on AFN, in one of these videos, the shooter shows cache weapons, kill Donald Trump, and also "Where is your God?" written on them, on these weapons.
He wrote, "Where is your God?"
Where is your God? And then the New York Post is also reporting on this, saying he was tired of being transgender. He says, "I only keep the long hair because it is pretty much my last shred of being trans. I'm tired of being trans. I wish I never brainwashed myself," he wrote, according to a translation by the Post. So a very...
Ray, this young man, how old was he?
23.
And he killed himself.
Yes, he did.
After he finished shooting, he killed himself.
Yes.
What was wrong with this guy?
Well, there are two or three answers to the question, because I read part of what you were talking about, Fred, yesterday before they took it down. We throw around the phrase "deeply troubled," but here is a young man whose mind and heart was warped by what he had been through. I mean, he says he doesn't even want to be trans anymore. Yet he has the stuff on there, "This is for the kids, ha, ha, ha." I think it shows two things. Number one, you can be truly mentally sick or mentally ill and still be morally culpable for what you do. And this young man was deeply troubled and mentally deranged and probably demonically inspired. And yet he planned it. He intended to do it. He went there, killed those kids, and then took his own life. About as evil an act as you can imagine, Tim.
CNN is reporting that the police chief there, and was it the police chief of Minneapolis proper?
Yes, his name is Brian O'Hara.
Okay. He's saying that the shooter tried to get inside the church and couldn't or didn't.
Oh, wow.
For some reason. So it could have been much worse had he been able to get inside the church with all the kids trapped in there. I say trapped, all together in one place where he could actually see them. Was there been any report of security on campus?
Some of the, I guess, instructors at the school took boards and ran them across the latches of some of the outside doors. So when this began to unfold, so that the doors could not be pushed open.
They were probably prepared in that way. I mean, that sounds planned.
Yeah, one of the kids who survived, he's 10 years old, he said they had practiced a possible shooter in the classroom environment,
right? But
they had never practiced it in the chapel,
right?
And maybe this guy Westman knew that the chapel was a vulnerability.
Well, because he had attended there before.
Well, I'm not sure that his mom worked there.
Okay, what I read was that he had attended there, but then left because he wanted to change his gender, and his mom signed off on that.
Yeah, I saw that too.
I don't know whether that's the reason why he left, but I'm just, the only reason I'm mentioning it is he might have had firsthand knowledge of the schedule that they typically keep.
And he lived close by.
He did.
Evidently.
I was noticing on, I think this is down one of the feeds we have, the video feeds we have from the news. I think it's was MSNBC or maybe it was CNBC, that there are still media outlets claiming that there's still no motive being determined for this. I find that kind of hard to believe. Let me just say this, though. I want us to be fair. And I don't like it when the other side does this to Christians. This does not mean that all transgender people are this evil in terms of wanting to kill people. So I do want to say that. On the other hand, I was reading overnight, last night was reading on X, people screenshotting some of the comments being made by people who were transgendered. And at least these individuals, I'm being very careful not to put this on the entire basket of people who fit into the transgender identification. But these people were celebrating this murder, these murders and this attack.
Why?
Well, they were saying, good, so now straight people, straight parents can feel the pain that we in the transgender community feel when we are hated and abused. And this is, I was kind of stunned. Now, again, this is, it winds up being anecdotal because these are screenshots of what people posted. But in my life, I never thought we'd reach the point where, and we see this increasingly on the left, politically speaking, with Trump, but I never thought I'd see people celebrating the murder of little children, and turning this into a part of the culture war.
All right, so I think we have to back up here, kind of along the lines of what you're talking about. It's helpful to understand why somebody did something. That's All right. However, as we always say, the individual is responsible themselves, not the group.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So when Dylan Roof, was that his name, in South Carolina?
Yeah, went
into the black church there and killed all those people because it was racially motivated, right? He was a white young guy. All right, so that was obviously evil, reprehensible, abhorrent, all the words you can think of. But he was responsible for his own actions.
Yes.
He didn't represent all white people.
Right.
If he did, I mean, but the liberal media, they take whatever their cause du jour is, and they really can't stand Republicans.
Yes.
Or and white people who are conservative. Okay, so anytime there was something like that, they say, see, this is motivated by white conservatism.
Yes.
Okay, or white Christianity. That's what they want to say. So they lump everybody in together as that's the reason for it. Yet when this happens on somebody on the left, like in this case, the transgender, this guy was obviously mentally and spiritually messed up.
Right.
Okay. They don't even want to talk about that aspect, the angle that maybe it appears to be this guy who was Robert, who changed to Robin. He was motivated. It appeared, he was messed up altogether, but the motivation may have been he hated Christians.
Right.
Okay. I mean, is that a far-fetched thing to think he went to a Catholic school and started mowing down innocent children, killing innocent children? So what was his motive? His motive was, I hate crime. They don't even, the liberal media don't even want to talk about that. You start talking about a hate crime against Christians, they want to flip it to gun control.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? That's
Absolutely.
what they want to talk about. So, but when a violent act like this is committed by somebody who they would say is conservative, although we could parse that out, whether that's actually a legitimate claim or not, then it isn't gun control so much. It's that they're a conservative.
Yeah,
That's the reason
it's their
they do it.
ideas that are at fault.
Right. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I want us to get, and then we can toss this back to Ray to get his take on this. But another thing that's kind of playing out in this, it for some reason, when we have these shootings here the last 3 or 4 years, we have heard people on the left get angry, Fred, when Christians say, let's pray for the survivors. And they seem to hate that. And they basically ridicule prayer for those people and imply that that's clearly not enough. And you have something with, was it Jen Psaki?
Jen Psaki, not only Jen Psaki, but the mayor of Minneapolis said much the thing as Jen Psaki said. You know, a lot of people, when in these incidents, they say our thoughts and prayers are with those individuals. Well, yesterday, Jen Psaki, who was Biden's first White House spokesperson.
Circle back.
She now works, I think, still with MSNBC.
Mm-hmm. Highly rated show.
Yeah. She said, prayer is not freaking enough. Prayer does not end school shootings. Prayers do not make parents feel safe sending their kids to school. Prayer does not bring these kids back. Enough with the thoughts and prayers, end quote.
What does she propose we do? Did she say?
She wants to take away guns. I'm sure she didn't say it in that, but I'm sure that's what she was thinking. Ray, this seems to more and more be the reaction from people on the left, many of whom, not all, many of whom have either no religious beliefs or they are hostile towards Christianity and want to insert their mockery of what Christians immediately do in situations like this. They want to pray and cry out to God and pray for the people because there's compassion in the heart of a Christian. And I don't know anybody who doesn't think, I mean, I've got grandkids in school. I think about the horror of this kind of thing happening. The immediate tendency for a Christian is to cry out for mercy and grace and comfort for those who have lost dear ones.
You know, Ed, a crisis brings out what is inside every human heart. This shocking event yesterday, of course, it's going to bring out in the hearts of Christians an enormous, overwhelming desire to cry out to God, to pray for those who were hit but not killed, that they might survive, that God would protect, that God would guide, that God would bring about healing inside that church and with the families. And we pray for the families of those 2 children that were murdered. Why wouldn't you do that? There's nothing more natural or normal for a Christian. And look, we're talking about a Catholic church, right?
Right.
I don't think there's none of us are Catholics. Might be Baptists, could be Methodists, could be Presbyterians. Doesn't matter. At a moment like this, if you know the Lord and claim the name of Jesus, the most natural thing in the world is to cry out to God. And for Jen Psaki to say what she said, it's evidence of a hardness of heart, of a darkening of the heart, to say, almost to imply that enough, she said.
Enough with the prayers.
Enough with the prayers.
Like you can't do more than one thing at a time.
That's
you can
right.
pray and you can talk about possible
and you can
solutions.
come to the aid, and you can look at security, and you can look at could anything have been done to identify this young man?
Right. You can do all that.
You could do all that, and you should pray also. Like one of the wise man said once, we can do many things once we have prayed. We can't do anything until we have prayed.
Yep.
Prayer ought to be our first resort, not the last.
After spewing this, Jen Psaki I'm talking about, she put out another tweet, and I found this very interesting. She says, when kids are getting shot in their pews at a Catholic school mass, and your crime plan is to have National Guard put mulch down around D.C., maybe rethink your strategy.
What does that even mean?
That's
her spectrum of hatred, I think. quite frankly.
She's
She
tying
brings
this-
Don.
What does
she brings
National Guardsmen in D.C. have to do with what happened in Minneapolis?
Absolutely nothing, Tim. But in her mind, they're all part of the problem. Donald Trump, these conservatives who talk about prayer and all this sort of thing, she lumps it all together.
Yeah, a lot of, sometimes I can follow people I disagree with, at least their logic line.
Right.
But not not with that. That's
bizarre.
That's
well,
bizarre.
Because, frankly, the argument over guns cuts both ways in a case like this. Okay, yes, like you're saying, I can follow the logic of people. I don't agree with it. I can follow the logic with people on the left. Hey, if we had no guns, this wouldn't have happened. Okay, that's absurd. We all know that's
right.
That's
but,
okay.
But
I can follow what they're thinking. No guns means this won't happen anymore.
Right.
Well, you know what? Since we're not going to get rid of guns, I would argue that having security or people with concealed carry in a church might be one of the solutions to preventing this from happening. Somebody who can shoot back, okay? But that's in probably a gun-free zone in Minneapolis. Probably very difficult to get.
I'm sure the church.
Carry.
I'm sure the church itself is a gun-free zone.
Yeah, probably right.
So people who kill people with guns don't care about gun laws.
Yes.
How hard is that for liberals to understand?
Right.
Huh? Why don't they?
And the evidence of that is in D.C. They have the National, since the National Guard went in, they have found more than 100 unregistered weapons.
2 days ago it was 115.
Yes.
When they arrested criminals, they got guns from them that were illegally obtained.
Yes.
And that proves what conservatives always said about the Second Amendment is criminals will have guns. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter what you do to law-abiding citizens.
Can I say something that sounds like despair? But I don't mean to sound this way.
Yeah.
But I'm only. Everybody knows you're not going to stop. We'll have another school shooting in a couple weeks, or another month, or 6 months, somewhere in America. We got 340 million people. You're going to have some nuts out there, some nut jobs.
Right.
And they're going to act out on their craziness or their evil, wicked
we're going to have
thoughts.
drive-by shootings, I'm sure. Plenty of them in big
Today,
city America.
Today.
Over the weekend.
Today. I mean, I guess the wringing of the hands bothers me sometimes, especially when the left, when they go, we've got another school shooting. When is this ever going to stop? Until we get rid of guns.
Right.
Conservatives are against gun control. If we didn't have guns, I heard Harold Ford Jr., who I watch sometimes on The Five. I don't watch that show a lot, but he was saying the common denominator here is guns on all these. And I was going, well, the common denominator on car accidents are cars. I mean, I don't get what your point is.
I have a concealed carry permit, and I keep my gun with me. It hadn't shot anybody.
Right.
It's not the gun, it's the person who's wielding it.
I think the left does that to distract from talking about spiritual things.
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll be back momentarily.
It's my turn.
Here is your host for My Turn, Don Wildman.
Who knows how much is at stake in the decisions we make every day? We decide to do something which seems so small, and it ends up shaping our whole life. I chose one day to become a Christian. I never realized when I made that choice how far-reaching the effects would be. It didn't seem to be such a earth-shaking choice at the time. I just looked at the options available as a way of life, and the Christian faith made more practical sense than any of the others. I'm old enough now to know that that decision was the wisest choice I ever made. Because of my Christian faith, I've been able to fit together the pieces of life's puzzle. I was in a big city recently, and while there, I watched the people who walked the streets. There were 3 young people who were cursing loud and clear, threatening to kill another person they knew if such and such a thing happened. I walked past the bars, and they were crowded. The music was loud, and the booze was flowing. Supposedly, the people who were there, they were there to have a good time. But you know something? That sure looked like a miserable way to have a good time. I spoke to a few people I met on the street. A few spoke back. Most ignored me. Some looked at me as if I was rather crazy for offering a smile. Every person is what he is because of the decisions he has made. Of course, each of us is influenced tremendously by others in the decisions we make, but in the final analysis, we do our own deciding. As I said before, we hardly ever realize the range of effects that our decisions will have on our life. We choose this or that. We go one way or another. And when we do, it brings us a certain kind of life. It is wise, as we travel along this road of life, for each of us to have a destination picked out where we wish to go. Then each immediate decision which we are called upon to make can be made in light of the destination for which we're traveling. Unless we do this, our immediate decisions can be totally unrelated and we'll not have any idea where we'll end up until we are already there. Each of us will have to go on making decisions, for this is a part of life. This process, decision-making process, it's a part of life. And after we make our decisions, then our decisions make us. Like I said, no one ever knows how far-reaching the effects of a decision will be. I made a decision one day to follow the way. It has affected my life more than any other decision I have ever made. And the longer I live, the happier I am that I did.
This has been My Turn with Don Wildman, a production of the American Family Association.
We give thanks to God always for all of you, constantly mentioning you in our prayers, remembering before our God and Father your work of faith and labor of love and steadfastness of hope in our Lord Jesus Christ. 1 Thessalonians 1:3.
American Family Radio. This is Today's Issues. Email your comments to comments@afr.net. Past broadcasts of Today's Issues are available for listening and viewing in the archive at afr.net. Now, back to more of Today's Issues.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, to Today's Issues on American Family Radio. Tim, Ed, Fred, and Ray, we thank you for listening to AFR.
Nobody with more than one syllable is allowed on this program.
Except
Brent is our producer.
Brent's our producer. We do let Alex in and Sandy on the show.
Oh, yeah, we do.
But they're not full-time. They're not qualified to be full-time hosts
Right.
here.
We have Cole. Cole Green is out there.
Oh, we could call Alex Al, I guess, maybe.
I had an Uncle Al.
I think that was a Paul Simon song.
I had an Uncle Al.
You did?
My dad's brother.
Okay.
Uncle Al.
What was he like? Did he leave you a lot of money?
Oh, man.
I mean, you know how...
No, why would he leave me money?
Well, you know how...
I was his nephew.
People always say your rich uncle died and left you a lot of money.
Now, there's no rich anything in the Battagliano lineage.
Well, rich and Battagliano, that doesn't go together.
It has been oil and water.
Okay. All right. Well, anyway, we've been talking about the tragic story out of Minneapolis yesterday and the media's coverage of it. And joining us now is Dr. Alex McFarland, co-host of Exploring the Word with Brother Bert Harper each afternoon from 3 to 4 o'clock Central Time right here on American Family Radio. Good morning, Alex.
2-syllable name greetings from North Carolina.
Hey, by the way, is your name Alexander, or is it just...
It is. Actually, my first name is the same as my dad, Neil. So Neil Alexander McFarland. But so Neil is a one-syllable word. I could go by that.
Yeah, I get.
Well, so that's not Kneel, right? It's
no, Neill.
Oh, all right, Neil Alexander. That sounds like historic or something.
Well,
like,
it's almost Land on the Moon name.
Yeah,
now,
that's true. Neil
Armstrong. That's a fancy name for a chicken farmer, isn't it?
Okay, Alex, we've been talking obviously about what happened in Minneapolis yesterday.
Yeah.
Give us your thoughts.
Well, it's very sad. It's very sad. I mean, there's a lot to say, but one of the things that the left seems to always miss is human accountability. And, you know, Chuck Schumer and others instantly said, oh, this is another reason to ban firearms. Where is the call for personal accountability and telling our culture about morals and, yes, our accountability to God, you know?
Now, the one thing the left does make an exception, well, maybe two, but they do make an exception. You're right. They dismiss personal accountability. They blame the guns, unless it's the police officer involved.
Right, right.
If a police officer is involved in an incident and it appears maybe the police officer was wrong or at fault, maybe, then they go, it's the cop's fault. Not the gun's fault.
That's a good point.
But the cop's fault. So it's the personal responsibility of the person.
Yeah.
Well, you know, the left, they omit personal responsibility when people break the law, but they invoke responsibility when police officers uphold the law.
That's
What a
true.
contradiction.
That's true. That's true.
But,
Why is that? Why do you think that is?
Well, before I answer that, let me say about, you know, Robert Westman or Robin Westman, this transgender shooter. He lived out his worldview. You know, the left, and I've had college students say this to me, you should live your truth. Well, this is a tragedy. It's unspeakably wicked what this young man did yesterday. I mean, it is, the only word is wickedness. This was objectively evil. But the left tells young people to live their truth. And he did. He lived out his worldview. Now, it's interesting, and I sent you guys that New York Post link where he regretted that he had, quote, brainwashed himself to believe in transgenderism. And I think it's interesting that, you know, the shooter some months ago in Tennessee, also at a Christian school, that shooter was transgender. But there's a lot to be said here. First of all, murder is wrong. The sixth commandment says, thou shalt not murder. God does give nations and individuals the right to self-defense, national defense, but that's not what this was. This was murder. But you've got to understand, transgenderism is the ultimate form of moral relativism because, you know, it's one thing to say God can't tell me how to behave. Transgenderism says God can't even define what I am. It is just a militant autonomy. And this cognitive dissonance, this confusion, this delusion, and let's again say the left has encouraged, fostered, even subsidized this delusion called transgenderism. And it's very sad. And our nation, my prayer is that somebody asked me on a radio show last night, what good could possibly come out of this? Well, if our nation will repent and turn back to God and acknowledge, and from the pulpits, the parents on down, if we tell all generations, but especially young people, look, there is right, there is wrong, and we will give an account to God, and human life is sacred, and none of us has the right to take human life as this murderer did. If a tragedy like this will finally convict us and cause us to turn back to God and moral truth, that's how this otherwise horrible thing could be redeemed.
Yeah. You're listening to the radio program, Today's Issues. Ray, you have a question for Alex maybe? Or
Yeah, Alex, I was just listening to what you said, and especially the part there at the end. If God could use this to wake America up. And I'm thinking about the horror of it all. These Catholic Church kids at Mass, they're praying. It's almost the worst possible situation. I don't want to ask so much about this young man, Alex, but I want to ask about the whole transgender movement. Sometimes, even in Christian circles, we talk about, well, that's just another choice people make. But I think there are elements of spiritual warfare here that the Prince of Darkness is at work. Could you say something about I'm going to call it the demonic nature of what is happening in our world today?
Yes, Satan is real, spiritual warfare is very real. A lot of people don't realize this, but among mental health professionals, there is an acknowledgement of demonic activity. Several years ago, I was asked to go to, I'm not being trite or anything like that, I literally was asked to go visit a woman in an insane asylum. And I did. And I went through a number of doors of security, and there was a lady that I actually, as far as I'm aware, she accepted Christ. She had enough presence of mind that I shared the gospel with this lady. But guys, I went to, in North Carolina, a facility for people that are clinically insane. And the spiritual heaviness was just palpable. But I was being briefed by a psychiatrist, and the family had asked me to see this lady, and he said, Reverend McFarland, there are people here that are all sorts of situations and even probable demonic possession. And I asked this psychiatrist, I said, are you a Christian? And he said, well, no, I'm not really a religious person. And I said, but you believe in demonic possession? And this psychiatrist said to me, and we had a very lengthy discussion, he said, well, there are certain things that there's just no other explanation. And guys, I know we don't have time to fully explore this, but let me just say, I had an unbelievably deep conversation with a PhD psychiatrist who was not a Christian. And he said, and he referred me to a number of journal articles where among people that are diagnosed as clinically insane, there are certain things that have been observed that are only explainable in spiritual terms. Now, what am I saying here, folks? Look, Satan has attacked the image bearers. Imago Dei, we are made in the image of God. Satan could not kill God, so he has tried to harm and dehumanize and debase those that are made in God's image. Do you know, and so guys, all murder is really, I'm going to put it this way. Every murder of human life is really a manifestation of the killer's malice against the giver of life, God.
Yeah. That's why, the Bible is clear on you just say God handed down the 10 Commandments.
Mm-hmm.
One of the 10 Commandments, thou shalt not murder.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
do you know, guys, let me ask you, I would say among the left, just even pragmatically, even if, and guys, I remember April of '99, I was on the road speaking when the Columbine shooting went down. And I was interviewed by a local radio station in Asheville, North Carolina. And I said, why can't we tell young people about God and moral truth? And they said, because that would violate the First Amendment. No, it would not. And that's another story. The man that wrote the First Amendment, Tim, I've at more than 100 universities, I've asked audiences, who wrote the First Amendment? I've yet to get an answer. It was a man named Fisher Ames, by the way, A-M-E-S. And Fisher Ames, who wrote the non-establishment clause of the First Amendment, he said, I would that the Bible be taught in all public schools, for it is the best vehicle for teaching morality to young people. And I've asked a number of audiences, how do 21st century secularists know more about the application of the First Amendment than the man that wrote the First Amendment?
Yeah.
Even pragmatically, even if you didn't believe in God or Christianity, what would be the harm in telling young people that human life is sacred and maybe they would treat it as such?
Yeah, I think a lot of those people, they just hate God.
They do.
They just hate God. It's Trump derangement syndrome.
Right.
It's God derangement syndrome.
Yeah.
They just hate God.
GDS.
They don't care if some of it's good. They just can't stand the idea of submitting their lives to a higher authority.
To answer Alex's question, what would be wrong in telling young people that life is sacred? Well, if you're going to say life is sacred, you have to translate that to
what
mean
sacred means.
life is holy, and then you have to eventually work your way back to God. And they refuse to do that because of their hostility to him.
Right. All right, Alex, so your summer camps are over now?
Summer camps are over. Okay. We had over 300 salvation decisions among teenagers. Glory to God. But and then last Thursday night, a week ago today, we had almost 2,000 people from 17 states that came to hear Charlie Kirk. And I just want to say how much I appreciate the work of this evangelist is so augmented by the microphone of AFR. And Tim, I'm deeply grateful.
Okay, you're talking third person there, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I just want to make clear people understood I understood what you were doing, but I want to make sure.
Well, and I want to make it clear. Ed understood what he was saying.
Okay, well there you go, Ed.
Ed
Bob Dole never said that.
Bob Dole, yeah.
Bob Dole.
Do you remember that?
Yes. Oh yeah, Bob Dole. He talked in third person all the time. All right, so Tim says, "Have a great day, Alex," and we look forward to hearing you and Bert this afternoon.
God bless you all.
Okay,
that's Neil Alexander McFarland
joining us from North Carolina. You're listening to Today's Issues on American Family Radio. Thanks for listening to AFR. Tim, Ed, Fred, and Ray. I wanted to get to a couple more stories before the hour's up. Namely, this story yesterday, the mayor of the District of Washington, D.C., held a news conference.
Mm-hmm.
And she was going over the statistics since President Trump initiated a federal takeover, so to speak, of law enforcement in the nation's capital, which he has the constitutional authority to do because it is the one and only federal city that we have. That's why it's called the District of Columbia. And it was pretty amazing because she's a liberal Democrat, and yet she's giving the numbers for how President Trump's, use of the National Guard is changing her city. Go ahead, Fred.
And less than 3 weeks ago, she was opposed to it.
Yeah.
She didn't want those soldiers there.
Mayor Browser. Yeah. That's her name.
We don't know it. But yesterday she was singing
to her credit.
Yep. Singing a different tune, cut 3.
And we greatly appreciate the surge of officers that enhance what MPD has been able to do in this city. The difference between this period, this 20-day period of this federal surge and last year represents a 87% reduction in carjackings in Washington, D.C.
That was just part of what she said.
Yes.
Let me read a quote here from her. She said, this is Mayor Browser again. She will now be tarred and feathered or whatever, stoned or whatever by her.
She's off the Christmas list.
Yes, her fellow liberal Democrats will never forgive her for what she said yesterday. She said she did say we greatly appreciate the surge of officers that enhance what the MPD, that's the Metro Police Department, has been able to do in this city. Then she said, for carjackings, the difference between this period, this 20-day period of federal surge and the difference between that and last year represents an 87% reduction in carjackings. It's sad when you've got to have percentages related to carjackings.
Yes.
Because usually you would say, well, we had 2 carjackings last year. No, there's so many that in Washington, D.C., they have to have percentages. How much it's dropped. But she said, we know that when carjackings go down, when use of guns go down, when gun goes down, when homicide or robbery go down, neighborhoods feel safe and are safer. So this surge has been important to us for that reason. So I just say kudos to her for just telling the statistical truth about how President Trump's actions have made her city safer.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know how long you can sustain this because how long can President Trump use the National Guard for these purposes?
Well, 30 said 30 days, right?
30 days.
Okay, but then can you renew it?
Yes, Congress. Okay. I think Congress has to do something.
They can renew it?
Yeah.
Well, I would think if the mayor of the city requests it as well as the president, the Congress would have no choice but to go along with the request. Ray, any thoughts on this?
Once again, President Trump gets attacked He takes action, could care less what his critics say. He does something, and in this case, once again, he has been entirely vindicated. Tim, to think about, and I heard you said about the percentage, it just means things were not just bad, they were awful in Washington. And I would say, wouldn't you think, Tim, an 87% decrease, that's pretty good proof that it worked.
Yeah.
And there's been, am I wrong in saying there have been
no murders?
No murders. So for this same period compared to last year, it's 100% drop.
Yeah.
I'm not a math person.
Everybody with a brain knew that this was going to happen. The crime is going to go way down, at least temporarily, because the presence of the National Guard and other law enforcement agencies all over the streets will prevent a lot of crime itself. Okay, so, but again, how long they can maintain that presence, we'll see. But
I've heard these mayors of, the governor of Illinois, mayor of Chicago, stay away, we don't want
right.
you. Even here in Kansas City, our leaders are making the same kind of noise. It would seem to me that you would want these kind of results. Okay, so within 30 days, no murders, and 87% drop in various kinds of crime. That's unbelievable. Think what that could do in Chicago. Now, look, I know it's not a federal city, but think, guys.
So they could use the same. Yeah, I'm sorry, but they could use the same idea.
Right.
And do it. The governor of the state of Illinois could call out the National Guard.
Absolutely.
It doesn't have to be President Trump. Go ahead, Fred. You had something related?
Well, speaking of these mayors, Brandon Johnson of Chicago, Michelle Wu of Boston, and Karen Bass of Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Have a listen to what they're saying about this. Cut number 4.
We are rejecting the occupation by the military of our cities. That's actually fighting for our democracy. That's what's required in this moment. When we fight back against tyranny, the people united will always prevail.
Stop attacking our cities to hide your administration's failures. We will not back away from our community that has made us the safest major city in the country.
We need the National Guard to assist us and prepare for fire season, not for an inappropriate deployment where they are just guarding a building that is not under attack.
It was really interesting. Governor Pritzker of Illinois, he led, I use the word led, reporters on a little tour of certain areas of Chicago yesterday. And he said, look, there's hardly any crime here.
You're kidding.
Yeah.
Follow me.
Follow me. Here in this little area here, they didn't have any carjackings. However, the city reported 573 homicides in 2024, the most of any U.S. city that year.
Well, that's just people who got shot and killed or knifed to death, but that doesn't include all the, what do you call them, casualty or people who were injured or gang violence and
well, let me just say that kind of thinking reminds me when my daughter was a little girl, and this is the first time this had ever happened, so she did not understand that parents aren't fooled. She's supposed to clean up her room. And then she came to get me, and I walked in, and her room was pristine, not a toy in sight. And I walked over to the closet and opened the door, and that's where everything was stashed.
And it all fell out.
And on cartoons, everything would fall out. And that is what I think of when you have the mayor of Chicago leading the media around to show, see, no crime over here. Well, where's the closet? Where's all this stuff stashed? Because a lot of people are suffering because of crime in this city.
Oh, my.
But anyway, good for the mayor of Washington, D.C.
I'm shocked.
Yeah, me too. Have a press conference, and she's lauding the efforts of the National Guard that President Trump has put in Washington, D.C., our federal city.
And let me just say one last thing about if the deployment of the National Guard to bolster the MPD, the Metropolitan Police Department in Washington, D.C., is leading to this kind of decrease in crime, then what you were doing before is not working.
Yeah.
You're going to have to change what you're doing, which is probably to bolster the numbers of people in the MPD. It's putting criminals away when they commit crime, not releasing them back on the street, and not letting them get away with having a rap sheet 13 or 14 crimes along.
Well, I don't think, despite the comments there from the mayors of Chicago, Boston, and Los Angeles, President Trump's not going to send the National Guard into those cities. As Abe said yesterday, Abraham Hamilton III, he doesn't have the constitutional authority to do so, not unless the mayor or the governor of the state said, Mr. President, help us for some particular reason, a national disaster, a natural disaster or some kind of riots going on, and they need help for a particular moment in time. But so he's not going to do that. Now, does President Trump troll? Yes, he's a master troller.
He's the king of troll.
He's the king of troll. So he'll say something that he doesn't intend to do just to have these people. I don't agree with doing that, by the way, as president of the United States, but
especially with other
nations. That's the way he rolls.
Like making Canada the 51st state. I'm not just saying that because Fred's here.
Well,
but
Trump will say something like this. Like he went after the governor of Illinois for not taking crime seriously in Chicago. And then he adds, and he also needs to go to the gym.
Yeah.
Like that fat boy needs to step back.
Needs to eat a salad and
he needs to eat a salad, and the governor. So you get into that kind of spit spat when you Trump. You got to take.
I like that spit spat.
Spit spat.
Yeah.
And then he then the governor of Illinois says, "Oh yeah, that's a pot calling the kettle black," so to speak. That's what he didn't say exactly that, but anyway. Yeah. So with Trump, that's what you get, man. You just get.
But this what he's done in D.C. is a home run, and it like we've been saying, it's a temporary fix, and when these troops go home, I guess law and order will return to its prior levels.
What I've learned is basically with Trump, and I think we've all learned this by now, and he can't be president again, so he really doesn't care. he never did care, but he never did really care, but he doesn't care. He couldn't care less than he does right now about how he talks or is interpreted. But with Trump, his policies you cheer for.
Yes.
The vast majority of the time.
Right.
Now, sometimes but his childish antics, which come out every few days, you just go, what do you don't need to talk to Rosie O'Donnell. Okay?
Right.
Anyway, we all know that's how it goes.
Yeah.
So, a unique individual, to say the least, as serving as president of the United States. We'll be back momentarily with more of today's issues on the American Family Radio Network.
The views and opinions expressed in this broadcast may not necessarily reflect those of the American Family Association or American Family Radio.
Faith, family, freedom. American Family Radio.
All God asks of you is faithfulness. Headlines in USA Today. Did you see it this morning? All the odds against us. Faithfulness is the word.
There's a place for you on the battle line. Engage in the fight for America's families. Visit afa.net and then take your position. A message from the American Family Association.
This is American Family Radio, a listener-supported ministry of the American Family Association.
American Family News, I'm Rusty Pugh. 6 victims remain in critical condition in Minneapolis as the city attempts to pick up the pieces from Wednesday's deadly church mass shooting. Jeff Manasso reports.
There's a growing memorial of flowers and messages of remembrance for the victims outside Annunciation Church, where evil struck Wednesday, where a gunman shot and killed 2 children and injured 17 others, including 3 adults. This woman, one of many, feeling the need to be there.
It's emotional. So I wanted to come out and just pay my respects and do what little I can do.
We're told that all those injured are expected to survive as local and federal investigators look for answers, many that we already have, as police also confirm the authenticity of images and videos posted online in what the FBI says it's investigating as an act of domestic terrorism, as a hate crime.
The Department of Health and Human Services is looking into the drugs used for people wanting to go through a so-called gender transitioning. HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. said the agency will look at what the drugs may be doing to a person's mental state.
We are doing those kind of studies now at NIH. We're launching studies on the potential contribution of some of the SSRI drugs and some of the other psychiatric drugs that might be contributing to violence. You know, many of them on there had black box warnings that warn of suicidal ideation and homicidal ideation. So we can't exclude those as a culprit, and those are the kind of studies that we're doing.
A Republican strategist says the Democrats' attempt at a rebrand isn't going well. Katie Zacharias cites the Democrat candidate for Virginia governor as one example.
And look, the Democrats, the weak, whiny, woke, and they're now broke, as we see this huge spread between the RNC race and the DNC race. They're trying this attempt at a rebrand, which is going about as well as the Cracker Barrel rebrand, right? You have Abigail Spanberger, who has not voted with President Trump on anything. She voted against him, and she was for his 2019 impeachment inquiry. Then she went into, and then you have this Mikey Sherrill, who has time and time again voted against the One Big Beautiful Bill and anything that actually helps working class Americans. And they've been against all immigration enforcement. And now you have Spanberger coming out and saying, we're not going to allow police officers to help support President Trump's initiative to deport people through ICE.
There's a story in the Russian-Ukraine war you're not hearing much about in the mainstream media. Robert Thornton has more.
Since Russia's invasion of Ukraine 3.5 years ago, thousands of Ukrainian children have reportedly been abducted by Russian forces and taken into Russia, where many have been given new identities and new families. Ukraine says there are about 20,000 missing children. A Yale University research group says it could be as high as 35,000 children. Chelsea Sobolik of World Relief made these comments on Washington Watch.
Russia is claiming that they're the humanitarians, that they're the ones coming and helping these vulnerable children find new homes, and they are taking care of them. They're sending them to summer camps. What is actually happening could not be further from what Russia is saying. Russia is illegally abducting thousands. They're subjecting them to military training, political re-education, and illegal forced adoption.
She said the children range from infants up to the age of 18. She said what Russia is doing is illegal according to international law, and that this should be important to Christians because we believe in the importance of family. Travis Weber of the Family Research Council also weighed in.
This is where I feel it's so important for people of God to pray and say, Lord, what do you want me focused on? What do you want me engaged on? And as the Lord leads, we engage, because this is ultimately God's work. He will defend. He has rose the earth to search out injustice, and we know he will bring an ultimate accounting.
I'm Robert Thornton.
The S&P 500 is down 0.1%. The Dow dropped 52 points, and the NASDAQ Composite is down less than 0.1%. For American Family News, I'm Rusty Pugh.
I'll do some stand-up comedy, Abe will do some preaching, and I'm really excited about it. The Weekend with AFA is a chance for our supporters to get better acquainted with the people and ministry you're supporting.
It's a Weekend with AFA, Thursday, October 2nd through Saturday, October 4th in Tupelo, Mississippi. Speakers will include Abraham Hamilton III, Jenna Ellis, Tim Barton, Tim Wildman, and more. Register at afa.net/weekend. That's afa.net/weekend.
Today's Issues continues on AFR with your host, Tim Wildman, president of the American Family Association.
Welcome back, everybody, to today's issues on the American Family Radio Network. We have added another panelist with a one-syllable name, in keeping with our hiring standards here on this show. So I'm Tim with Ed, Fred, and Ray. Ray's in Kansas City. Good morning again, Ray.
Good morning, Tim.
And the three of us here in Tupelo, Tupelo, right below One Below on your map. That was JJ Corny right there, wasn't it?
It was. You got a chuckle out of me.
Yeah. But now Chris Woodward's in studio. Good morning, Chris.
I gotta say, I spent a week with JJ in a foreign country, and that included a 12-hour flight going and coming. So I have a lot of JJ jokes that I can now share.
You poor thing. Who was in charge of your travel plans?
Let me tell you,
put you guys next to each other.
I got a PhD in JJ jokes after that trip. There's a time to laugh.
I gotta tell you, you got to give the guy A for memory.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
On jokes.
Yeah. I always say he's got a Rolodex. Mm-hmm. You bring up a topic, he's got more than one joke.
Yeah,
he does.
Yeah. All right, Fred. Before the break, we were going to get to this story you're about to talk about.
Yeah, we reported late yesterday that Uncle Herschel is now welcome back on the porch at Cracker Barrel.
Thank goodness.
He's come back.
Poor fella was about to be booted.
I tell you what, so
Uncle Herschel, even though he's in just a drawing.
Yes.
Well, sorry for the drawing.
Well, I saw all kinds of memes showing Uncle Herschel in kind of a heavenly setting with Aunt Jemima and Uncle Ben, the Land of Lakes.
For those who don't know, Cracker Barrel was going to change, and still maybe who knows where they're going to go with their image changing that they announced, but it all backfired terribly in the last few days. And so Uncle Herschel is the fella that you see on the Cracker Barrel that's leaning against the barrel. Right, leaning against the barrel or sitting near the barrel.
Is he sitting in a rocker?
He's kind of this. It's been the signature of the Cracker Barrel restaurant chain, and so the idea that the geniuses there at Cracker Barrel marketing had was let's take the old man off. I guess he's old. What is he?
He was sitting in a chair. I'm not sure if it's a rocker.
Okay, sitting in a rocker, which they have rocking chairs.
Yeah. But he is leaning against a Cracker Barrel.
Yeah, a Cracker Barrel. So they were going to take him off and put him
out to pasture.
Out to pasture. But he's going to stay now, Fred. Is that what you're saying? Cracker Barrel announced this?
Yes, he's going to stay. However, if you go to Cracker Barrel's website, the news this morning is they've removed their Pride page. They had a Pride page at their website.
Pride in their breakfast?
No. Cracker Barrel's Pride page, which used to boast that the company was, quote, bringing the porch to pride.
Yeah, wow.
Oh,
yes.
Is that not powerful?
Yes.
That moves me. Yeah. I tell you what.
Bringing the porch to pride. That gives me chills. The chills that come right before throwing up.
Okay. So
on that page,
they got rid of their Pride page. What were they doing with their Pride page anyway?
Well, amongst other things, they said on their Pride page at Cracker Barrel, welcoming people has always been at the heart of who we are. When we take care of one another, we are able to even give better care of the people.
You get better scrambled eggs?
Okay, can I just stop you right there?
Sure.
Stop him right there.
I'm just going to stop you right there. So their reason for having a Pride page was so that everyone could feel welcome at Cracker Barrel. So what do they have on their Christian page?
I don't think that's available.
I bet there were a lot more Christians going to Cracker Barrel than pink-haired lesbians.
Yeah. Well, just say what you think,
true.
Just say it plainly.
Why did
we all
Christians,
understand?
Listen,
pink-haired lesbians.
I have nothing against
pink-haired
people
lesbians.
with pink hair or pink-haired lesbians. Okay?
However.
All right. So what I'm saying is that's not really why they had a Pride page.
No.
Is what I'm saying. They had a Pride page because they wanted everyone to know that they supported the LGBTQ.
They were being panda bears.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
They were pandering to the woke crowd, and I thought the same thing you did. I thought, why do you have to tell people that you don't hate gay people?
Yes.
Or that you're against gay? You mean you have to have your own page to express that we embrace gay and lesbian people to come to our restaurants and get biscuits and eggs too.
And if that is the case, you want to let people know you don't hate gay people. Does that mean that you hated gay people the day before you put that
the Pride page up?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's the whole thing's silly.
Yes.
The whole thing's silly. We don't need any more pride. You don't need to have a page dedicated to LGBTQ to say they're welcome in our restaurants. If you do, like you're saying, Ed, well, are you saying they weren't welcome?
Yes.
Right.
No, it's so stupid because when you go into Cracker Barrel or any restaurant in America, you don't sit down and they go, sir, or ma'am, or whatever you identify as.
Yes.
Before we get you your cheeseburger, I'm going to have to ask you.
Your sexual orientation.
Your sexual orientation. And if you're gay,
yeah,
you get no fries.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're out the door.
And there's the door.
No extra gravy.
Who does that?
That's right. No biscuits.
No biscuits.
One of the things they used the page for was to unveil a line of rainbow-colored rocking chairs.
Yeah.
I predict you will not see rainbow rocking chairs.
Boy, this has backfired magnificently.
Right.
You know what? The logo change back is one thing. I was very surprised to hear this about the Pride page.
Yeah.
Because they will get slammed for this from the other side.
Yes.
Yes.
One of the things that the Human Rights Campaign has long made companies and businesses do is things like this. So I'm wondering whether or not this was kind of a pressure from the Human Rights Campaign for Cracker Barrel and other companies with similar web pages to do, because you have to do some things to get a good score from the HRC, so that way they don't say nasty things about you on social media and go after your shareholder meetings. And then to continue to get high scores, you have to continue doing these things.
Yeah. Ray?
So Uncle Herschel's back.
Yeah, he is.
Okay.
With Pride.
Pride page is gone.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's good. What about the menu? Menu's going to stay the same.
It's going to be the same wonderful menu that everyone has come to expect at Cracker Barrel.
What about the decor? There were some of these stores where they took down the old-timey decor and they made them.
Where did they do that? Have they done that, or was that in the plan?
I've just seen pictures of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's across the country.
I think the decor change is still in place.
And that it's coming to a Cracker Barrel near you.
Less clutter.
I don't really care about that. That a decor change in a restaurant is not inherently. It's not a woke thing or not woke thing. Seems to me, huh?
Okay, Tim, but we got to draw the line, don't we? At the little golf tee game that they
they changed the wording on that.
Yeah. They were changed.
You mean from
wrong.
you're an
ignoramus.
You're an ignoramus. Is that what it said?
Right.
Ignoramus
or something.
To everybody
nice
gets a
try,
trophy.
everybody.
Yes,
that's wrong. That's
nice
woke.
Try.
That's wrong.
Yeah,
that's what I said yesterday. I am all for putting the insults back on that pegboard game. You know what? Because it makes people want to improve themselves.
I actually have that app on my phone.
What's that?
Oh, the game?
You can get the little triangle game as an app on your phone, and I do play it from time to time.
Yeah,
because I'm not an ignorant.
How do you do, Chris?
Not very well.
So you were on Chris was on a 10-hour flight across the ocean. He had to have something to do.
I had the guy leaning against me the whole flight. I had to pass the time somewhere.
Listen, I'm going to say something, Chris. It's going to sound initially
hurtful.
Hurtful. I have the greatest respect for you,
does,
but as game apps go, that one is pretty lame.
The peg game on an app?
I do. I have it. Yeah.
Okay.
That's like playing checkers against the computer.
All right, Chris, let's move on.
Yes. All right. Well,
are you done with Fred?
Uncle Herschel's back.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think we all can.
We're gonna let Fred go grab us a table at the.
Thank you, Fred, for your
Cracker Barrel.
contributions. To
Eggs over easy, please.
Yes.
All right, Chris, what's the next story?
Well, from time to time on this program, we talk about how Chinese people from China,
be careful, Chris.
Yeah, they're caught here breaking laws, and it may be part of some sort of espionage, some broader conspiracy on the part of the Chinese Communist Party. And I bring this in because this is the latest example. And this is the headline from Fox. Chinese doctor accused of attempting to smuggle cancer research from the U.S. to China. The guy's name is Yunhai Lee, a 35-year-old employed by the MD Anderson Cancer Center since 2022. He was confronted at an airport by officers from U.S. Customs and Border Protection on July 9th. This is according to the Harris County District Attorney's Office. The office said the authorities working in connection with Homeland Security investigations, quote, found evidence Lee was attempting to take sensitive medical information abroad during an inspection of his belongings. They were able to detain him as he was trying to get on a flight to China. That intellectual property stays with us, the government says, so we can save lives. It has long been documented that a lot of people from China with ties to the Communist Party that runs China have been coming over here and taking our intellectual property from big corporations that we use for apps to this incident, which involves cancer research.
Hey, Ray, let me ask you a question here. Do you trust communists?
No. No and no.
This is a perfect example of why we talked about this yesterday, and I don't want to speak for everyone. I criticized the president for suggesting that maybe, and it hasn't been done yet, to your point yesterday, Tim, in terms of letting these 600,000 Chinese students in on visas. But it's a bad idea, and this is proof. There is no telling how much intellectual property the Chinese have stolen over the last 30 or 40 years. But they've stolen a lot, and they've tried to reverse engineer a lot of stuff. I'm sure we've probably done that to some extent. If you can get an advantage over a competitor, you do that. But China has done it just forever.
They've raised it to an art form.
Yep. And letting more people into this country who would continue to do that. Listen, I'm sure they've tried to infiltrate our access to our military technology. This is part of the reason why I think the Chinese government has been buying up land, buying up property around military bases. They're going to spy. They're going to try to watch and see everything that is flying around or driving around to see if they can find out information and use it against us.
Speaking of spying, there is concern that China, or maybe some other country, is spying on our U.S. military bases. And I say that based on a Daily Mail article. I'll share this on our Today's Issues Facebook page. But the Daily Mail is reporting this. The headline is, Pentagon baffled by 8,000 mysterious UFO orbs hovering over U.S. bases. More than 8,000 sightings across the U.S. between December 2022 and June of 2025 between the hours of 1 a.m. and 4 a.m. in states including New York, California, and Arizona. Now, remember the Chinese spy balloon that Biden and his administration let float across the U.S. taking pictures of Lord knows what. This has caused a lot of people to wonder whether China or, again, some other country that doesn't like us is possibly doing things in the wee hours of the morning to spy on us, although some people may also be of the opinion that it's just government technology doing testing, and we're seeing basically our own guys doing things outside bases.
I have my opinion is two possibilities here. And let me start off by just saying, and I know we probably don't want to talk about UFOs and aliens here for the rest of the program. You do?
Yeah.
I personally do not believe these are extraterrestrial. Okay, I don't believe that we have people beings visiting from other planets. So that leaves me with two possibilities in my mind. Not an expert on this, but nerd alert, I have read about this almost my whole life since I was in junior high school. Read a lot of Christian books on this. You could call me an expert if you wanted. You'd be wrong, but I think either this is it's human in origin, probably our own technology. I think that's why these are spotted for the most part between 1 a.m. and 4 a.m. Mostly it's around U.S. military bases. I think we have all kinds of technology that it would seem like science fiction. Or the other option is it is metaphysical / spiritual. I'm not a real big multi-universe person, but I would say that it might be possible that it is metaphysical. And here's why. because some of the people who spot this, they take videos of it, the speed at which these things move, yet do not break the sound barrier.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is stuff that should create a sonic boom. Some of these are spotted hitting the ocean, going into the ocean, leaving no splashes. You cannot break the laws of physics and be a physical specimen.
Well, Ed, okay, a question or two here. Just to make sure I understood what
he's
you're
already
saying.
said he's an expert. So
Is he using
I
was kidding.
Nerd alert.
Yes.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. Okay, so you're saying you don't think it's not aliens, right?
I do not believe it's alien.
But you said it might be metaphysical. What is?
Yeah,
in this discussion, what does that word mean?
It means demonic.
Gotcha. Okay.
But we experts try to use large sounding words to increase the amount of impressive.
What's demonic?
The orbs.
The any of this kind of UFO phenomenon. For tons of
demons are out there flying around in space.
Well, let me just say, when you look in the Old Testament, what's interesting about angelic beings sometimes, or what's called creatures around the throne, sometimes they're described by Ezekiel or and those
Ezekiel's is the great example.
It says
right?
This creature looked like burnished bronze.
Right.
Okay, looked like shiny metal. All right, and so I say, well, if angels look like that, could demons imitate that kind of appearance? And I just a quick idea here. This is not just my idea. Lots of people have said this, including non-Christians, that the appearances of these kinds of phenomena mimic the technological advancement or lack of it of the people who see the stuff. So it used to be, now you're going to laugh, but it used to be fairies. It used to be little people. It used to be leprechauns. We joke about that. And you know what's fascinating is people would be kidnapped. You can read all kinds of stories from people in the Middle Ages who were kidnapped by the little people, fairies, etc. I know, it's funny sounding. And they would have missing time.
I just like to hear you say fairies.
They would have
fairies
missing
has
time.
a double meaning.
The consequences of their interaction with these fairies and other little people are the same as people who have had contact with and have been absconded with by quote unquote aliens. But
friends, this is why you tune into today's issues.
You have done a lot of reading on this.
Here. You will not hear other places.
This is the same thing that Galileo faced when he took his expertise. Okay, one last thing.
Always the problem.
One last thing is because our technology has increased, fairies won't do, Tim. There, I said it again. So you have to substitute the phenomenon and the explanation for it, and you have to leave little people behind.
So you're saying leprechauns aren't real?
I'm saying leprechauns aren't real.
Ed.
Hey, listen.
Ed.
Did you just compare yourself to Galileo, though?
I
got
did.
stuck right there.
He's an expert. The Galileo of our generation.
Ed Tagliano, ladies and gentlemen. He'll be appreciated in 100 years.
Leonardo da Vinci has nothing on me. Today. All right, listen. Obviously, you can't speak truth.
Yeah. Right.
You can't speak truth on with a panel like this.
Well,
I know
a bunch of naysayers.
It's hard to have a serious conversation about a.
If the Lord tarries one day, like Ed's grandkids, my kids, Brent's kids, they're all going to work here, and there's going to be like a painting of Ed on the wall looking up at the stars, you know.
Galileo, the Galileo of our time.
Oh,
all right. So,
all right. That I'm just giving the rough outline.
Gotcha.
I am trying to write a book on this.
So
but
Bigfoot, yes or no?
No.
Okay.
Not as a physical ape-like creature.
Gotcha.
But the Loch Ness monster, yes for
or
sure,
no?
right?
Loch Ness monster.
I doubt it.
Yeah.
but maybe I would be more. Well, are you guys just going to mock me when I say?
No, we're listening intently.
I'd be more open to a plesiosaur than what? Yeah, I'd be more open to that than I would Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Plesiosaur.
I don't know how to spell it.
Plesiosaur.
Make that word up.
No, he was a philosopher. If you go back, look. He was Aristotle's.
Jesus said, "Don't cast your pearls before swine." and that's the way I feel. I feel like
you just called us swine.
This has gone for me.
Yeah.
Comparing myself to Galileo.
Right.
To calling my dear friends swine.
You're listening to today's issues. We're going to get back on track here, Chris.
Yes.
Are
we though?
We got 4 minutes to recover.
Yes. Do I have time for a clip? Okay, I'll make this set up quick. Virginia is a state to watch, and I say that because they're having a gubernatorial election. There are 2 people running for governor. One is a Democrat, Abigail Spanberger. She's running against Winsome Sears. Winsome Sears is currently the lieutenant governor of Virginia. She wants to be governor. And the reason I say Virginia is a state to watch here is because the Democrat wants to make Virginia a sanctuary state, and that is an issue that Winsome Sears responded to this morning on Fox. Clip 8.
I believe the first job of a governor is to keep the people in their state safe, because, I can't even begin to talk about education and why that matters and how it will help our children. I can't talk about, bringing jobs to Virginia if we're not safe, if the inventories aren't safe, if our children can't walk the street, if we're not locking up people who commit crimes. And see, this is what my opponent is telling us, what she really believes. She is not going to keep Virginia safe, Dana, because of the results of what Governor Youngkin has put forward in Executive Order 47. We are now partnering with ICE. We have our state police who are helping to get the criminals who are illegally here gone. That's it. How can my opponent be against getting criminals off the street? But of course, what we know is she has taken thousands of dollars for a PAC, wait for it, that is named Defund the Police PAC.
Now, for anybody out there that might think, Winsome Sears has a good shot here. Her and Glenn Youngkin got elected fairly easily. So did the Republican Attorney General. That being said, Abigail Spanberger is leading this race in most polls. So if she's elected,
it'll be close, probably.
Yeah, if she's elected, she may make Virginia the next Illinois.
Well, Virginia was trending blue, that is Democrat, before the shocking upsets 4 years ago.
Right.
By Winsome Sears, and I say shocking upsets, that's what some people would have called it, and Glenn Youngkin and others. Right. There was an AG there.
Yeah, Jason Miyares.
Yes. And they swept the election. Can this be? Are the Republicans on the comeback that will last more than one election cycle? That remains to be seen. Yeah. But I really like Winsome Sears a lot, and that was some great comments by her right there.
Plus, Abigail Spanberger may be an alien.
My thanks to Chris, Ray, Galileo, and Brent Creeley, our producer, Fred Jackson for his contributions, Alexander McFarland, who joined us.
Neil Alexander
McFarland. And I'm Tim, and we thank you for listening to today's issues.
Trivia Friday tomorrow.
And JJ's back. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'm sure he'll have a Holy Land question or two, right? Since he's back from Israel.
Yep.
We'll see you tomorrow. Have a great afternoon. Keep listening to AFR. Thank you.
Have you ever wanted to take a boat ride on the Sea of Galilee? Raise your hand.